Hey everyone, ArdrethShadow here, and welcome to Doki Doki Shattered Time. A mod that was actually written by me and programmed by Mr. Rocket909, Mr. Rocketman 909. Anyway, so yeah, it's a mod written by me, and it is kind of written as a spiritual follow-up to Doki Doki Tainted Love, so yeah, for those of you who are familiar with Tainted Love, then you already have an idea of what you're in for here. It's also kind of inspired, I guess you could say it's kind of inspired by Corpse Party. Specifically, it was inspired by Makoto Mobius, by Sharon, which was inspired by Corpse Party, and it also serves as a bit of a crossover with some of my old abandoned literature works from 2017 to 2019. I made that logo. Okay, I'm sorry, I just had to. Yeah, so Shattered Time is actually going to be focused around Natsuki this time around. Let's see, first things first. Yes. Put that there. Okay, and there are no previously... Oh, and looks like I can actually enter my name. Okay, well, this is a pleasant surprise. Okay, well, I'm going to be a hero of justice for this one. Hey, do you think I'd be better off dead? That question just came out of nowhere, directed at me. Natsuki, a girl who sat behind me in class, asked me that without any warning. We weren't really acquainted with each other. She was merely a classmate. Despite being in the same class and despite being in the same class and despite sitting close to one another, we never really spoke all that much. It is because we'd never spoken much that I couldn't help but wonder why she came to me with that question. The next day, the teacher approached the class and spoke in a somber tone. Sometime between yesterday and last night, Natsuki died. The teacher could not say what was the nature of her death, and even now it hasn't been revealed to anyone. The probable cause of her death was lost to the darkness. Natsuki had passed away. That was the only thing the teacher would say when I asked out of curiosity. I did not want to ask any further questions out of respect for Natsuki, and to not seem overly suspicious. To be quite honest, I don't really care all that much. I don't care that a classmate I never spoke to much at all who sat behind me is now dead. Despite these mysterious circumstances, it's not as though we had any sense of closeness, and yet she confided in me, and only me, in asking that one random question like a shot in the dark. I have no strong feelings one way or the other. Okay, Mr. Sunshine. Despite her death, my school days have continued on as per usual. The world has continued on as per usual. I don't feel any sense of sadness or grief thinking about her. This guy must be a real riot at parties. She just happened to be the person who sat behind me in class every day. Outside of that, we never had a single interaction or connection, save for possibly talking to the same people. That's all there is to it. Everything would be the same without her. The world goes on. It's the same quiet everyday life that I've been used to. I found my thoughts drifting away until I was snapped back to reality by a soft laugh.
Why, good morning, Shiro. You're looking kinda down in the dumps today. Penny for your thoughts?
I'm fine. That girl is Amy, another girl in my class. Just like Natsuki, she has never really spoken to me. In fact, I think this just might be the first time she's ever spoken directly to me. From what I understand, she and Natsuki spoke to each other a lot, possibly about anime. Whether they were best friends, rivals, or something else entirely, I can't say for certain. The relationship never affected me very much, so I never really cared to think more about it.
I don't know. That doesn't sound like someone who's feeling fine. If there's something bothering you, just tell me already.
What does it matter to you anyway how I'm feeling? Leave me alone! No one understands my feelings!
Oh wait, I think I understand now. You're just super annoyed at me because I never talked to you. And yet here I am, talking to you out of the blue like everything is sugar-coated rainbows.
Something like that.
Well, that's because I have a favor to ask of you.
A favor? Me? Get someone else to do it. I don't owe you anything. I hardly know anything about you, aside from the fact you have some obsession with spiders.
There's no need for judgment, Shiro. Everyone is free to like whatever they want, so long as there's no harm onto anyone else.
Is there a point to this lecture? Last I checked, you weren't a teacher.
My, someone got up on the wrong side of the bed this morning. Anyway, well, like I said, I have a favor to ask. Can you guess what it is?
You want me to go scuba diving? Don't know, don't care, but I bet you're gonna tell me anyway. Just buzz off already, you spider-obsessed freak.
You're such a jerk! You know that.
Tell me something I don't know.
Ignoring your rudeness. I wanted to see about helping out Nat, and you're the only one who can do that.
How the hell do you figure that? Stop acting like we're all just casual friends.
She went over to talk to you yesterday, remember? I know, because I was watching you.
What kind of sick pervert are you?
Would you cut it out already? Seriously, what's with you today? Or are you just naturally an insufferable jerk?
No, I'd say maybe I'm born with it. Maybe he's born with it. Maybe it's Maybelline.
Well, for whatever reason, Natsuki chose to ask you for help instead of me, her best friend.
What are you talking about? She didn't ask me for any help about anything. She just asked me some random question like it was nothing.
Well, Nat was the kind of girl who wouldn't ask for help directly, even if she wanted it.
Is that so?
Usually because she was afraid to bother people with her problems. She was such a sweet, considerate girl. Maybe a bit too considerate, though, if you ask me.
How do you plan on doing this? Last I checked, dead people just can't come back to life. Unless this is the Bionicle universe, which last I checked we're not in. It's not like there's some red star out there in the sky that can zap the dead back to life. Like in Bionicle!
Funny you should say that.
Oh, she's doing the glasses thing.
If that's what you're worried about, then allow me to explain some things to you. Tell me, have you ever heard the tragedy of Toroncos the Tyrant?
No. Should I have?
I didn't think so.
She's so educated.
It's not a story most people would go around telling. A long time ago, there were two brothers. One named Articus, who was loved and revered by all. The other was Toroncos, who was feared and despised. They were both gifted with unimaginable powers. Articus was about to create things that he set his mind to. Toroncos had the power to rewrite history, but only once for anyone who dared to ask him to. One day, Toroncos began to descend into madness and jealousy when he realized just how much the world hated him. So he planned to kill his brother, but was stopped and defeated promptly by Articus himself. It was then that Articus created a prison for him, casting him into a realm beyond human comprehension. That was not the last of him, however. Even now, one can make a wish to Toroncos, so long as they follow the proper ritual. He will rewrite the past for you, but only once. Should someone get greedy with him, they'll find their request is outright denied. In the best case scenario, anyway. Depending on how he feels, Toroncos could do much worse.
Assuming this isn't just some fairy tale, this Toroncos could actually rewrite time.
Yes, but only at one given point per wish.
There's no way this is real.
No. No. He exists, as does Articus. I know this for a fact. I've even met Toroncos myself.
The look on her face when she says that, it's almost like,
he's so dreamy.
Amy has a crush on Toroncos. Okay, you're one serious freak chick, and I don't want to hear anything else you have to say to me. If you want to go dream about Toroncos, go ahead and dream about him away from me.
You've met him too, Shiro.
Oh great, you got me on a technicality there. As I turn away from Amy, I stop in my tracks to look back at her, smiling devilish at me. What could she possibly mean with that? Before I can question her, the bell rings, signaling the end of classes for the day. I look back over at her, and she signals me to follow her. The red-haired harlot is beckoning to me. Against my better judgment, I comply with her. Amy takes me to the courtyard, right in front of the fountain. From her backpack, she produces 2 linked bracelets. One is gold, and the other is silver. Like my favorite 2 Pokemon games from way back in the day.
These bracelets represent the link between the 2 brothers. More specifically, one represents Toroncos, and the other represents the prison created by Articus meant to house him.
How the hell do you have them, then?
Oh, it's easy to make these. You just need 2 bracelets you're willing to sacrifice and dip them into the right ingredients. Make sure they're the right colors, and make sure you leave them in for at least 10 minutes for a nice long soak.
I swear I will get better with spell checking. At least, I think I did a better job with the spell checking here than with Tainted Love, but, well, I guess some of these errors still slip between the cracks. I don't even want to know what kinds of things she reads. The kinds of things that she reads for those long, lonely nights. Where most girls are reading, like, 50 Shades of Grey or whatever, she's reading stuff about spiders and Toroncos.
You put your left arm in the silver bracelet and your right arm in the gold one and say the magic words.
And those would be...
You're going to simply say, Toroncos, I've come to bargain, 8 times, while you have your arms in the bracelets.
I guess I have no choice if I'm going to make you leave me alone. I'll play along and prove to you that this is all just a myth. Amy holds out the bracelets once more, allowing me to slide the proper arms through each of them. So happy. She lets go of them, leaving me standing with both of my arms straight out in front of me. I give a deep sigh as I look ahead of me. I cannot believe I'm going to do this, but I can't help but feel bad for her, seeing as she's lost her best friend. She's gone crazy! So I guess I'll just play along and make her happy. Maybe I'm doing this out of pity or sympathy for her. Or perhaps... No, it's best not to think too much about it. Toroncos, I've come to bargain. Nothing happened. She said 8 times, right? 8 times it drops. Toroncos, I've come to bargain. 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 I'm halfway there. Oops, did I? I counted 5 times. Oops, well then. Toroncos, I've come to bargain. Toroncos, I've come to bargain. Toroncos, I've come to bargain. Yeah, I think that should have been the last one, actually, if I'm counting it now. Oh well. Last one. Then I'm out of here. Toroncos, I've come to bargain. That's all 8 times. Plus 1 more for good measure. Unless I'm counting wrong. I immediately feel the bracelets constrict and bind my arms together. What the hell is going on here? I look over at Amy, who giggles devilishly to herself. And tally-ho, and away you go, Shiro! I feel as though I am being grabbed from my arms and legs, being stretched out over a long distance. The sensation feels so overwhelming, I can't help but feel my consciousness slipping. Natsuki can be saved? By me? Why me, of all people? As I ponder this, I feel myself fading, but not before I hear a faint voice say something. How many times has it been now? I wonder what number attempt this one will be. What is it that you desire the most? Do you still not understand? Have you learned nothing? No matter how many times you try to turn the hands of fate,
you will always arrive at the same result. You couldn't live with your own failure. Now, look where it has brought you. Right back to me. Who is this? What are they talking about? If you still fail to understand this process, after having gone through it several times, then feel free to continue your fruitless struggle. You have learned nothing, and as such, are doomed to struggle endlessly by repeating this time period. June 4th, 2019. I awaken on the ground to find myself laying right outside a house. Could this be Natsuki's house? A calming breeze wraps itself around me. A gently shining moon greets me as I look up into the sky. This is a rather calming summer night. Well, I would say that it's a magic summer night, like the song, but this is anything but, well, this is more like dark magic summer night. The house stands before me, exuding an aura most unsettling. Its large shape stares proud and posing before me, or stands proud and posing before me. I can't help but feel my knees grow weak as I try to slowly approach it. I look at the name engraved just above the mailbox. Sarenshi. That was Natsuki's family name. Without a doubt, this has to be the right place. Unless we're just at another Sarenshi family's house, but yeah, that probably would not be the case. That would be too specific. I put my hand against the gate. It creaks open with just my touch. I push it forward and take a few steps to the door. I put my hand on the doorknob, not expecting anything to happen. I'm shocked when I feel I'm able to turn the knob. I gently open the door. Wait, this is breaking and entering. Should I really be doing this? I don't know what's going on anymore, but should I leave the house? Okay, we're gonna make a save. Let's leave before anyone sees me in here. I can't do this. I shouldn't be here. I can't be found breaking and entering like some kind of criminal. I have to get out of here. I gotta get out of here! I walk out of the house, making sure to close the door behind me. No one must ever know! As I do so, I hear some loud booming footsteps. They're coming from the side of the house. I quickly run to the side of the house. I end up beneath a random window. I look inside. It's a bedroom with an awful lot of pink. I see a lone figure standing in the doorway. There's a girl with pink hair in the room who was just sleeping peacefully, only to bring her head up out of a sense of alarm. It was Natsuki. Natsuki, are you still awake? Were you waiting for me? I'm sorry. I just finished work, so I'm a bit late. Thanks for waiting up for me, though. Natsuki doesn't say anything, as she only continues to look back at him. Thanks, sweetheart. Things have been very rough these last few days. Things haven't been going very well at work at all for me.
They got mad at me for not getting a report done in time, getting furious at me for some editing mistakes I made. Well, considering the editing mistakes I've made in this mod alone, I shouldn't be complaining so much, should I? After all, that's why Mom got so fed up and left us, right? Tell me, you're on my side, right, Natsuki? You won't just up and leave me out of the blue like Mom did, right? You'll stay with me by my side, won't you? I'm on your side. Thank you, sweetheart. I knew I could count on you. Her father approaches her bed. I duck down, hoping no one saw me. I do my best to try and listen in. Tell me, Natsuki, if I said that I wanted to die, would you die with me? Dad? What are you saying? It's gotten very hard to keep on living. Oh great, this zoom in is getting kind of scary. I can't handle this anymore. The world is such a cruel, unforgiving place. I feel like the only way to make the suffering stop is to just end it all. I can't do that, though. Not when I'd be leaving you by yourself. I couldn't forgive myself knowing I'd be leaving you alone in such a cruel world like this. The zoom in is scaring me, but I mean, I love the effect of it, though. So I'm asking you, please, die with me. Dad, I can't bring myself to look anymore. I look away from the window. That's when I hear a loud booming noise. A gunshot. Did he seriously just kill his own daughter? What the fuck? Her father starts breathing heavily. How could he do something like this without hesitation? Don't worry, Natsuki. I'm right behind you. There's a cold silence in the air. I don't hear another gunshot. I can't pull the damn trigger! I can't do it, Natsuki. I just can't do it. I'm too scared to finish the job. I can't do it myself. His anguished cries rattle the window I'm sitting beneath. It's all starting to make sense now. Natsuki! No! I just killed my only daughter. I killed the only person I have left in this world. Natsuki was now gone from this earth. Her life cut short by her own father. She was forced into a double suicide by her father. She didn't seem to put up any resistance. How bad was her life for everything to end like this for her? Is that why she asked me that question? Hey, do you think I'd be better off dead? Why did she ask me that? I wasn't a close friend or even a family member. I was just a random classmate who happened to sit close to her. That's all. A classmate she never really spoke to, for that matter. Yet she came to me and asked me that loaded question. That's when I remember something that Amy said. Well, Na was the kind of girl who wouldn't ask for help directly, even if she wanted it. Natsuki, in her own roundabout way, just might have been asking me for help. I just failed her. Maybe it's because I wasn't close to her or meant anything to her. It might have been because I was just a random classmate. She didn't know who else to turn to. That might just be why she asked me that question at all. Because I was a complete stranger, who she felt wouldn't judge or look down on her. As I continue to think this over, I spot a lone figure in the distance. Could it be? There's no one else in this empty void here, besides the two of us. I rush over and sure enough, it's her. Natsuki! Shiro. Please don't die, Natsuki. Please. Huh. I wonder why I said whatever I did to you. Maybe it really was because I wanted you to help me. I can't tell anyone else, and I didn't want anyone to know anything. Out of all the people I could have gone to, I decided to go with you, the guy who just sits in front of me. Before I can say anything, tears well up in Natsuki's eyes. I didn't even think you tried to do anything, let alone care. There's a pause as Natsuki sniffles to herself, trying to keep her nerve to speak to me. It's kind of strange, don't you think? I literally have no future beyond this point. This has all just been some messed up loop that's gone on for who knows how long. I can't break out of it, and I don't know what to do anymore. I'm like some damn wind-up doll, forced to do whatever fate tells me to do. By the time I realize it, I'm already awake, and it's morning. I'll think of something. I won't let this happen again. You fool. You beautiful little fool. Shiro, I have to go now. We'll see each other again today. I promise. Thank you for caring about me.
Natsuki turns away from me, looking out into the void. I reach out for her, begging her to come back, but in a matter of moments, she vanishes.
Goodbye.
Bad end one. Bad end one. Am I standing still? Okay then, well. So, let's go ahead and just stay this time. I have to press on. I step into the house. The madhouse of Natsuki. The time for hesitation has long passed. I did that crazy ritual Amy set up for me for Toroncos, who I can't believe exists even after going through with it. I need to do something. I make my way through the house as quietly as possible. I don't know who's in the house, but I doubt they wouldn't be too pleased with knowing there's some young punk roaming around. I eventually find myself in what I think is the kitchen. Beer bottles are lined up on the table. Just use your imagination, viewers. There's some coffee mugs with cold coffee. There's a bowl with a bit of cold rice left over. On the counter, I spot a picture of Natsuki with who I am assuming are her parents. Everyone is smiling and looking cheerful in this picture. I continue looking around at the kitchen, but it's almost hard to even look with how chaotic everything appears to be. There's some cheap dinnerware that appears to come from a discount store. My eyes travel over to the kitchen sink where I find a knife. You call that a knife? This is a knife. Breaking and entering is one thing, but stealing... Then again, I'm beyond the point of no return now. Against my better judgment, I take the knife in my hand. Hopefully I won't have to use it. I look over the sink some more and find some baking pans waiting to be washed. The aroma left behind smells really good. I wonder if Natsuki was the one who was baking something with these pans. I press onward to some of the other rooms in the house. I gently open one of the doors and step inside. There in front of me is a bed with a sleeping Natsuki, looking so peaceful and serene. I quietly back out of the room. I feel bad enough as it is breaking into her house, but being in her room makes me feel awkward on another level. Still, maybe I might find some clues as to what might have happened to her around here. Despite how uncomfortable I feel, I decide to snoop around her room. Within reason, of course! Yeah, what did you think he was gonna do? I look at a mirror right by her doorway. There's a sticky note with the number 8 on it for some reason. Another note has a doodle of a cat drawn on it. I guess the contents of the room before, and there is definitely a lot of pink happening. I guess I shouldn't be too surprised or anything. There is an array of cute little trinkets lining up one of her shelves. As I look over to the shelf, I spot what appears to be a diary. I am once again feeling pains of guilt just by touching the book. But I then remind myself that I have broken into someone's home and am currently standing in the middle of a girl's bedroom while she is asleep. "There's nothing wrong with that," said no one. I'm not doing this to stalk or prey on Natsuki. I'm doing this because I want answers for saving her life. I take a deep breath and start thumbing through some of the pages within the diary. May 28th. Everything is just so damn depressing lately. It's suffocating me. I can't even breathe. I don't feel like smiling. When I try to, it just feels so fake, like there's no heart to it, so I don't do it anymore. What's keeping me going anymore? I don't even want to think about what would happen to me if I lost it. By the time I find out, it might be too late. God, I hate this so much. Even now, I can hear him. Please don't come in all angry or sad. Please don't do anything terrible. I don't think my heart can take any more of this. I know Dad has been having a lot of trouble at work again, but still. Every day has just been the same thing for me, and it's suffocating me. I want to help Dad. I really want to help Dad. I just don't know what else to do, and then it gets worse whenever he comes home angry. The only thing that calms him down is drinking. I fucking hate this! I feel so damn powerless no matter what I do. Is there even a point? If there's just one thing I could change... If there was just one thing I could change, but what? At this point, I could care less what happens to me. I feel so empty inside, I probably wouldn't get angry over anything or feel anything. Why was I born into this world as a human with a heart and mind?
Because it is the heart and mind that are exactly what make us human, and so beautiful and unique to this world.
I almost wish I was brought into this world as something different. I don't even care as long as I didn't have to have anything like emotions or feelings to worry about. June 2nd. Dad, I tried to make some of my special cupcakes for the both of us today. I wanted to see if I could cheer him up. A lot of my friends love my cupcakes, so I figured maybe he'd at least appreciate the thought. There's not much else to do in the house, so I try to work on doing things to keep things neat and tidy. The only problem is I lack the motivation to want to do anything. Seeing all the beer bottles Dad drinks out of only kills my motivation even more. The more he drinks, the more sad and angry he becomes. I used to have plenty of interests, but none of it means anything to me. But now none of it means anything to me. I don't even have the same kind of joy I'd get from reading my favorite manga anymore. Nothing matters anymore. I don't want to do anything. I don't matter. Just leave me alone already! If Dad were to tell me to just die right now, I would, no questions asked. That's about all I can do. That's about all I'm good for. There aren't any other options, and there's no way out of this hell on Earth. I feel like I have a lot of weight on my shoulders. Did I always feel this way? I think I'm going to sleep now. I feel so fucking depressed right now and I hate it all so much. June 3rd. I spoke to Shiro today. I don't even know why. Yeah, of all the things I could have done and all the people to talk to, I chose him. He doesn't even mean much to me or anything. He just sits in front of me in class. We never talk or anything, and sometimes I doubt he even knows I'm alive. Then again, no one really knows I'm alive. I doubt they really care either. He always looks so damn sad and grumpy. Kind of like me, if I think about it.
Except you're cute and grumpy.
Maybe we're more similar than you'd think. But then, it's not like I want to ask him his whole life story or anything. I can't say for sure, but I doubt he's really having fun with his life, with how gloomy he seems all the time. I didn't tell him anything, really. I doubt he'd really care, since he probably feels like I'm nothing to him, but I spoke to him in the end. I don't even know why I did it. It's not like I have anything to discuss with him. I'm not worried about anything specific. There's really nothing for us to talk about. There's nothing to be worried about. I'm not worried about at all about anything. I just asked him a random question. Nothing else.
The diary ends here. The last entries from yesterday, or rather, the day before the teacher told us all that Natsuki died. That's tonight. My math might have been a little off here, but, well, I mean, I guess considering I didn't exactly specify when exactly Natsuki asked the question, or we can kind of just overlook that. Like I said, that might have just been a bit of an oversight on my part. Like how I think I might have miscounted the 8 times that you were supposed to bargain with Toroncos. I don't think there's anything else for me to do here, so I decide to check out another room. This must be her parents' bedroom, judging by the size of the bed. There's a man sleeping at a computer chair on the other side of the room. This must be her father. I quietly sneak around the room and find a large bookshelf lined with various books. On a nightstand, I spot a bottle of sleeping pills. A disturbing thought enters my head as I see flashes of this man stepping into Natsuki's room, asking her if she wanted to die. I hear the sound of a gunshot echoing in my mind, and the cries of anguish of this man for killing the only person he had left in this world. What did I just see? That is what some might call a premonition. Was this the future? Did I get a glimpse into the exact nature of Natsuki's death? I can't even begin to believe what I just saw and heard. Being murdered at the hands of your own father. That thought alone sickens me to my very core. I walk over to her father, who is still asleep. I look at the knife in my hands. I look at the sleeping pills on the nightstand. What should I do? Oh my... Okay, you took away my ability to save, so... Unfortunately, it looks like I'm going to have to come back later. Well, at least now I know where I have to save, but... Okay. Well, let's see, so... We can do that, we can do that. Or we can just walk away from this scotch-free and do nothing. Without hesitation, I plunge the knife into his chest. Scum like this doesn't deserve to see the light of day, let alone be around other people. It sickens me. You sicken me, you bastard! June 5th, 2019. Natsuki didn't die that night. She was saved. I killed her father in order to save her from her gruesome demise. I feel awful having killed a man in order to accomplish this, and yet, what that man was planning to do was unforgivable in my eyes. Nevertheless, it's hard to even justify my actions from that night, but what matters now is Natsuki is alive and well. For the next few days, Natsuki cried her eyes out, clearly grieving the loss of her father. I didn't think about what would happen to her, but it is only natural for her to grieve the loss of a parent. And seemingly her only parent, considering the mom apparently walked out on them. Eventually, though, she began to return to her old self. How long's it been now? I'm sorry I made you worry about me. I made everyone all worried over nothing. I shouldn't have dragged you into that, so... I'm sorry, okay? I can't believe I'm even saying this to you of all people, but I'm sorry. It's no problem at all, Natsuki. I still can't believe you even spoke to me in the first place. You know, Amy is always so cheerful and upbeat, but for some reason on that day, she was crying her eyes out so much that they turned red. It almost...
I wasn't even sure what to say, but it made me feel glad that I didn't die that day. Natsuki laughs to herself, and I can't help but join in as well. Eventually she stops, and her smile vanishes from her face. Although, there's something that has been on my mind lately that I can't shake off. Considering you were the only person I told, I can't help but wonder if you had something to do with everything.
Detective Natsuki is on the case. Wait, what are you saying? And now the sort of happy piano music is gone. Natsuki gets closer to me, eyeing me suspiciously.
I see how it is. So that's how it's going to be, huh?
Wait, Natsuki, what are you...
It was you, wasn't it?
Me? What do you mean?
You're the one who killed my father.
Any traces of her cheerful attitude are gone, replaced by this aura of pure hatred. Her pink eyes could literally stare craters into my skull with how intensely she was looking at me.
You came to my house, didn't you?
I'm too scared to say anything right now.
Why? Why did you do that?
I can explain. He was going to kill you. I know you might not believe me, but I saw it happen in some kind of time loop. It sounds crazy, but it's the truth. Yeah, that does sound crazy. I don't know how else to explain it. Yeah, there's really no way to explain something like this.
I was trying to save you. So what you're saying is that I was meant to die that day, but my father died instead. Is that right?
Yes.
I had to do it to save you. I won't accept that. I refuse. He didn't even do anything wrong.
I mean, she's right. He didn't do anything wrong.
But he was going to, I know it.
He's also kind of right.
I saw it happen. Tell me, how did you think everything would end up after all this? What? Since you're such a genius and you can see into the future, tell me, what you think was going to happen after you killed my dad?
I didn't think about that at all. What is she getting at here exactly?
My dad kept working hard for my sake. He was doing everything he could to support the both of us after Mom stepped out on us. It was hard on him, but he was doing his best. Did it ever occur to your peanut-sized brain what this was going to do? Just how do you think I felt living the way I have for all this time? I was all he had. He was all I had.
All this time I never knew. She only had her father in her life. They were all they had, and I ruined that. Okay, I guess technically he doesn't know about the mom. I mean, he knows that she had a mom, but I guess he doesn't know what happened to her, so... Yeah, I was just questioning that, like, hey, wait a minute. But then it's like, no, wait, he technically doesn't know about the mom in this route. Yet, I couldn't understand why would her father even think of killing her? I want to try and convince her that there was no other way, but she clearly doesn't want to listen to another word I have to say to justify my actions.
You don't get it. There's no way you could understand anything.
You're such an idiot. You thought you'd be saving me? Well, you didn't. I had to get taken into a foster home because of you. That family could care less about what happens to me. Even if you saved my life, you couldn't save my heart. Ouch. If my father died in my place that day, and if one person had to die... She steps away from me, getting close to the railing on the rooftop. Yeah, considering this, I wasn't quite sure how high the railing would be, or in this case the fence, so... Like I said, just use your imagination here. Yesterday, the one who died was my father. Today, the one who dies will be me. Before I can object, Natsuki throws herself off the railing, plunging to her demise below. I call out her name, desperately trying to reach out to her, but it's too late. I can't bear to look anymore. With that, Natsuki took her own life, of her own free will. Was the world really so cruel and unforgiving to the both of them? Then, maybe, this was for the best. Bad end 2. Codependent. So, I guess to quote that kid with the Sonic backpack, there are consequences for your actions, and oh, hello. Oh, look at that. It tells you what endings you have. Okay, I like that idea. Yeah, so he took a lot of sort of artistic liberties with certain aspects of this. So it's like, yeah, I didn't even think about having like a little mark or like a checklist or whatever for what endings you have, so... Okay, well I guess I'm gonna have to start kind of from previous to this. Okay, I made it. Yeah, so... Now I guess we are going to see what happens if I do this! Fate says Natsuki is supposed to die on this day. If her father is the one who will do this dark deed, then maybe I'll just make sure they sleep. Sleep spares them pain. Awake, and they suffer. No one will die tonight. They'll rest in an endless slumber. Tomorrow will be a June 4th where no one will die, and all will be right with the world. Like I said, you're gonna have to kind of forgive me. I guess I did kind of misjudge that. I shoved a lot of sleeping pills down the father's throat. I then went and shoved the last of the bottle down Natsuki's throat. The deed is done. All that's left for me to do is return home and await tomorrow. As I make my way home, I spot some smoke. That's the direction my house is. I race home as fast as I can, only to be met with a disturbing sight. My house has been set aflame, a blazing inferno burning brightly into the night sky. My mother. It was just the two of us living there. And now, she was gone, consumed by the raging inferno. Bad End 3, Raging Inferno. Okay, so now, what if we don't do anything? I can't do it. I leave the room as quietly as possible and head back into the kitchen.
Even if this guy is going to kill Natsuki, he technically hasn't even done anything yet, so can I even justify killing him in cold blood? Yep, see, now he's here, like, thinking to himself, like, hey, wait a minute, you know, I can't just... I take a seat at the table, making sure to avoid knocking over any beer bottles as I do so. I run my hands through my hair. I was seriously about to do it. I stopped myself, though. I look over to my side and spot a phone. I can't help but wonder if I can call anyone in this case. If I call the police, chances are they won't believe me, and will most likely toss me in jail for breaking and entering. It's like, help! I'm in the house of a crazy murderer's house who hasn't done anything! Where are you where are you calling us from? It's like, wait, are you saying that you broke into someone's house and you're making a phone call to us? Yes? Okay, well, I'm gonna make a save here. Well, I already know what's gonna be coming up, but I don't know when, though. Ignoring that, Natsuki's dad hasn't even done anything wrong, and I'll just sound like a crazy person. Like a crazy person! If they don't toss me into jail, they'll most likely send me away to the funny farm instead. Wait, what about Amy? She was the one who hatched this entire plan in the first place. What if I call her? It was her harebrained scheme that got in the first place, so her crazy mind has to believe me. Call Amy. Okay, you gave me the opportunity to save here, but not here. Well, I guess I don't really have anything to do there anymore, so it's okay. Alright, so we're gonna call her. I don't think I know Amy's number, but luckily for me, there's an address book by the phone. After thumbing through it, I find Amy's number listed and dial it. What a coincidence that people are still using these. The phone rings for a while, and I'm almost about to hang up until I hear a familiar voice on the other end. Hello? Amy, is that you? Shiro? What are you doing? Do you have any idea how late it is right now? What's up? Why does the caller ID say this is Nat's house? Look, I don't know how else to explain this right now, but I'm from the future and I think Natsuki is going to die tonight. Yep, he doesn't even bother coming up with some excuse. He's like, yeah, you know, screw that, I'm just gonna straight up tell the truth, even though the truth sounds like complete and utter nonsense. It's like, this is Terminator, except if, you know, I made a bargain with Toroncos. Nat? Are you telling the truth? I know this sounds crazy, but I swear to you that I am. You were the one who sent me back into the past with this whole thing about Toroncos in the first place from my own timeline. I'm actually calling you from Natsuki's house. I was sent here, but I didn't know what else to do. What should we do, Shiro? Do you have any idea how she's going... Do you have any idea as to how she's going to die? I think her father's going to kill her, but I'm not so sure. There's a short silence from the other end before Amy speaks up again. You said you bargained with Toroncos, correct? Yes. What does that have to do with anything? When you bargain with Toroncos to save a life, someone has to take her place. You mean a soul for a soul? For someone to live, another must die in their place. An exchange has to be made. So... Amy, what are you saying? Don't tell me, if I die today, then Natsuki will be saved. Amy, wait, don't... I got it, Shiro. Thank you.
Goodbye. Amy, no, come back! I don't want... The line goes dead. I can't believe it. So then... Bargaining with Toroncos means making an exchange. So no matter the outcome, someone has to die on this day. I can't believe it. I never spoke much to Amy, and I can't say we were friends, but I didn't want her to die. I don't even know where she lives, so I can't go to her house to stop her. Even if I did, chances are I would be too late to do much of anything. Damn it all. Amy, no. June 5th, 2019. That night, it was Amy who died. It was an apparent suicide, but the teacher said the same thing as when Natsuki died. Or rather, when she would have died. Amy has passed away. Amy took her own life in order to save Natsuki. She called it an exchange. Whatever it was, I couldn't help but feel sick to the pit of my stomach. Why did Amy take her own life like that? What was she thinking? Amy took Natsuki's place. A soul for a soul. This is how Toroncos operates. Fate said that someone was to die that day, but apparently it did not have to be Natsuki. In other words, even if Natsuki was to have died that day, it's acceptable for someone else to die in her place. That's all there was to it. Natsuki is here, alive and well, yet obviously questioning everything. It's like a trade-off, as they say in economics. The world can stay in balance without a risk of a surplus, and Natsuki gets to remain among the living. But at what cost? Shiro? I'm dragged back to reality from my thoughts when I see that Natsuki is standing right in front of my desk. Do you happen to know anything about what happened to Amy? I just don't understand why Amy had to die. I don't even know what to tell her at this point. I might as well have been the one who did her in, considering I'm the one who told her everything. It's like I'm the one who killed Amy. It's my fault. I didn't want it to end this way, but it did, and now it's too late. The words I speak next come out of my mouth without even thinking. She died in your place, so you could live. Maybe it's because of the guilt crushing me. Maybe it's because I hate myself right now. Whatever the reason, I just told her. He seems to be very blunt with anything he says. She's understandably taken aback when I say this. What are you saying? I don't get it. You're telling me I was supposed to die? That means Amy died instead of me? Is this some kind of sick, twisted joke? I can't bring myself to say anything to her. I honestly wish this was some kind of joke. I wish I could just wake up right now and have this all be some dream, but it's not. Yep, unfortunately this ain't Carpe Diem. This is reality. Natsuki begins to laugh to herself in a crazed manner, sending chills down my spine. So this is a reality where I don't die and Amy dies instead, just to make the numbers match up? Is that it? Well, it's not the kind of reality I want. Natsuki. No. You hear me? She practically slams her fist on my desk, jolting me back. Her eyes burn with the fire of aggression. Why the hell did it turn out this way? Damn it all! I mentioned that Mr. Rocketman actually took a lot of artistic liberties, so seeing Natsuki like this is actually, like... I've said in the past how much I don't like seeing any of these girls crying. So it's almost like this is really... I don't want to say that it's hurting me inside, but it is making me feel kind of... Natsuki's expression softens as she sits down at the desk in front of me. She covers her eyes and tries to weep quietly to herself. I cannot control my actions as I find myself placing a hand on her back, gently rubbing her back as a means to console her. Natsuki was saved by exchanging Amy's life for hers, as if souls are a means of currency. Bad End 4. Amy's Perfect World. Oh, but we're not done yet. Did you really think I'd let it end this way? I'm not just going to sit here and accept that my best friend died because of me? For what? All because I was supposed to be the one to die instead? I'm not accepting that crap, you hear me? Shiro, you're the one who did this. You convinced her to go along with this. Her blood is on your hands. Natsuki, if this is all some kind of never-ending loop, then this is all just going to repeat itself anyway. That means there's a lot of you running around in this reality, which means it's okay if one of you dies. Before I can protest, Natsuki takes my head in her hands and twists my neck in a manner most unpleasant. The real Bad End 4. Unacceptable. Huh. Oh, there we go. Okay, yeah, so now we have 4 endings. I give this mod a 4 out of 5. Alright. So we're not going to go ahead and make the phone call. I don't even know Amy's phone number. Well, you would know Amy's phone number if you would just look to the other side of the phone and be like, oh, hey, look, it's an address book. I didn't know people still used these. Even if I did, what are the chances she's going to know what to do? When she started this whole crazy thing, all she gave me was this all she did was give me this cryptic fortune cookie talk that made no sense whatsoever. With my luck, she'll just give me some stupid riddle that involves me
making some kind of aluminum foil hat and running around a parking lot shouting some stupid phrase. Like, zoom zoom zoom! I take the knife in my hand and get up from the table. I'm out of options. What should I do? Okay, well, just in case, let's make a save here. A part of me is tempted to visit Natsuki one last time before I leave. Should I see Natsuki one last time? You know what, let's go ahead and I guess just... Oh, wait. Oh, I remember this ending now. Okay, well this one's also going to be... I'm not going to say anything. I make my way back to Natsuki's room, gently opening the door once again as I do so. Natsuki is still sleeping peacefully in her bed, unaware of what awaits her tonight. As if drawn to her by a magnetic pull, I make my way over to her. I fall to my knees as I am at the side of her bed, like a prince waiting to kiss and awaken a princess. As I do so, her eyes flutter open and she looks at me, a confused yet sympathetic look on her face. This almost feels like something out of a storybook fairy tale. Hence my little reference.
Shiro, you came by to save me again, didn't you? I'm glad. Thank you so much for caring about me. Shiro, I thought...
This young girl's heart, so beautiful and fragile, stabbed with a knife. A knife that you were holding. I did it. It was me. There's no point in trying to challenge fate. If she is destined to die no matter what happens, then... the very least I can do is ease her suffering at my own hand. Natsuki looks at me with tears flowing from her eyes. A part of me feels as though I know what she was going to say to me. I lean in and gently kiss her. The sad thing is, I think I might have loved her back. So basically, Sephiroth shippers with Aerith. And yet, I've taken this poor girl's life, destined to die, as determined by cruel fate.
This is good. Thank you. Shiro, this is the way. I love you.
Slam! Something connects with my head, sending me down to the floor. You messed with the wrong neighborhood, fool! Okay, no. I try to turn around, expecting to find Natsuki's enraged father, most likely ready to kill me for murdering his daughter. I'm shocked to find someone else entirely. Oh shit. Are her glasses cracked? Oh my god, I'm actually legit kind of scared now. Like, really, she looks like a total...
Really, Shiro? Did you forget why you were here in the first place? Why did you do it, Shiro? Natsuki is mine. You can't go doing things like this without my permission.
Oh, okay, so it's like that. I didn't mean to step into this.
Anyone who decides to hurt her gets a stern talking to from Mr. Bat.
I look at the metal bat she holds in her hand, which has quite a large dent in it.
Nat has to live. There's no way around it. I refuse to accept a future she doesn't get to live. Do you understand me? I don't care if you, her father, or even I have to end up having to die in the process. For her to live, a proper exchange has to take place. A soul for a soul. One life must be extinguished for another to go on. Now go on and get it right the next time. I won't let things end this way. This is completely unforgivable.
Well, the last ending was unforgivable, but...
I challenge fate, Shiro. And to make sure we understand each other, I'll make sure I kill you with a little bargaining.
My eyes widen as I see her take out the familiar bracelets I used to start this whole process.
Amy, wait! Toroncos, I've come to bargain. Toroncos, I've come to bargain. Toroncos, I've come to bargain.
Before she can finish her chanting, my face is introduced to Mr. Bat one last time. Bad End 5. I hereby discharge you from duty. One, two, three, four, five. Alright. Let's see. Okay, so... okay. We are not going to see her one last time, and we are not going to do anything crazy. There's nothing else I can do here. I look at the knife in my hand. Why am I still carrying this thing around? Yeah, like a crazy person. There's no point in carrying this around anymore. I put it into the sink with the dirty dishes and make my way back to the door. I prepare to leave the house, making sure to close the door behind me as quietly as possible. Before I can, though, a voice calls out to me.
Wait! Don't go!
Natsuki? As I was about to leave, Natsuki rushes up to me, pulling my sleeve to drag me back inside.
Please don't go. You came here to save me, didn't you?
How?
I know. I know everything. But you can't.
Natsuki produces a pink notebook from under her arm and shows it to me. She opens it to a specific page and hands the notebook over to me. The Curse of Toroncos. Take 2 bracelets of gold and silver and soak them in a mixture of mercury and sodium. Link them together. These will form the chains of Toroncos. Slide your left arm in the silver bracelet and your right arm in the gold one and chant 8 times. Toroncos, I've come to bargain. In doing so, you will have performed the curse correctly, and you will briefly lose consciousness before awakened in the desired time and place. You are now effectively the host of the curse. Because this is a curse, it forces you to relive a certain period of time forever. Make sure to act as per the rules of the curse set out by Toroncos. Deviating from them will result in you losing something dear to you. The number of people who will die on any specific day is fixed, so there is no way to change this. An exact exchange must be made, a soul for a soul. There is no way for the curse to be removed. If the curse's host dies, the time loop will end. I look back over to Natsuki, who has a solemn expression on her face. It all makes sense now. Why does she have this information, though? I don't know. Look, no matter what you do, the amount of people who are going to die on a certain day is already set. If you're going to save me, someone else has to die. And if you just happen to mess things up along the way, you might end up in a spot even worse than that. Like Amy said. I get that much, but why do you even have this? Well... She looks away from me, clearly uncomfortable. Given the nature of the curse, disguised as some way to save someone's life, I can only guess there was someone in mind that she wanted to save. Well, let's just say there was someone I felt bad for when I found out he died. When they died. Natsuki seems to have lost the determined look she had about her when she stopped me from leaving. Look, let's just say I made a stupid decision, and I have some experience with this. The point is that no matter what you do, you're locked in. I'm chained to fate. Trapped by the chains of Toroncos. I don't know why nobody's noticed it, but I found out eventually. This world is just some illusion. So... Natsuki looks down at the ground, nervously tapping her foot against the floor. There's definitely something up with her, but I know she's not going to outright say anything. Amy might have conveniently left out the part about this being a curse, but everything else she said about Natsuki seems right. Why don't you stay here with me? Please don't go away. Don't leave me, please. Even if we are just stuck in some stupid endless time loop, just please stay here with me. Natsuki, why are you... You can come see me every day and we can spend time together. You're all I have now, Shiro. Your constant visits and the fact that you care so deeply about me is all I have left keeping me going. I probably would have lost my mind already if it wasn't for you. I don't want to be alone, Shiro. I think I would seriously go insane if you stopped coming to see me. Constant visits? How many times have I wound up back to this at this point to try and save her? How many time loops have I gone through just to get here? She drops her notebook without warning and grabs me by the sleeve. Come on, Shiro, please. Natsuki, I can't just... you're seriously gonna make me beg? That's not what I'm saying here. Men. Okay, now that's just being... Please? Oh my god! Look at her! I've never seen Natsuki bounce up and down like this so many times. Please, 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 please! Natsuki, get a hold of yourself! Natsuki stops, looking as though she was snapped out of a trance. At some point, she started holding both of my hands. Her face turns crimson as she releases my hands and backs away from me slightly. Without warning, though, she drops to her knees and tears start rolling down her cheeks.
Shiro, do you really want to know why I got myself wrapped up in this crap in the first place?
Yes. I think I at least deserve to know that much.
It was because of you.
Because of you. Like that Kelly Clarkson song, but not really. Well, I guess if it wasn't obvious by now, yep, she did this because she wanted to save someone's life. What? Me? What did I do to you?
No. You didn't do anything to me. It was... something happened to you. The teacher said you died.
Now it's my turn to fall to my knees. What am I even hearing? Natsuki has stopped crying, trying to maintain her composure as she continues speaking.
When I heard that, I didn't know what to feel inside. I know you and I never talked or anything, but from the moment I first saw you, I felt different around you. Like maybe you and I had a lot in common, but I was just too afraid to go and talk to you.
Her diary. I'm not going to tell her I read her diary, even though she possibly already knows, but I remember she mentioned me in her diary. That was just one entry I happened to look through. Could she have said even more about me?
Amy even used to make fun of me, saying that you and me were going to become a gloomy couple and maybe get married and have a ton of gloomy children.
Both of our faces turned crimson at that point. I honestly never knew. All this time, I thought she either hated me or could care less about me. All this time, Natsuki actually felt this way about me.
When the teacher said you died, it hurt me inside, but I couldn't understand why. That's when Amy stepped in and told me about this ritual. She even wrote everything in my notebook in case I needed to check back on anything. She told me I felt this way because I loved you. And I think she's right.
Well, looking back on what she said in another timeline, well,
I don't even know how many times we've done this, but the fact you keep showing up every night just... it makes me glad, knowing there's someone out there who cares so much about me, even if they don't know anything about me.
I try to make my way over to Natsuki, who started to cry again. I can't help but wonder, but maybe I felt obligated to save her because I felt the same way. To think, I didn't realize it until now. Right after I unknowingly placed a curse on myself and became trapped. I'm trapped, like she is, in this endless loop of bad decisions and suffering. I crouched down to meet her at eye level. Oh, I guess he got up at some point and now he's... I don't know. Well... I brushed away the part of her hair that's in her eyes. She's still crying her eyes out. Natsuki. Natsuki tries to stop crying as she looks at me. Those eyes cry every night. I don't know how much pain and suffering they've witnessed, but Upon looking to my own, they soften and look at me with a sense of yearning and bliss. As if our bodies are acting on their own, our faces draw closer until our lips meet. Words can't begin to describe what I'm feeling right now. I can imagine it must be the same for her in the moment. We pull away after what seems like an eternity and look at each other once again. She smiles at me and starts giggling to herself. What's so funny? Nothing. I've just never had a boyfriend before. Oh, well, Oh, come on, don't tell me after all that. No, I've just never had a girlfriend before. Well, you do now. As we laugh to each other, I hear someone else laughing alongside us. Someone very familiar. I look behind me to see Amy with the 2 bracelets in her hands. Is it just me, or do her glasses look worse? Interesting, though. I wonder... just how many times has it been now? How long have we been at this game? A week? A month? A millennium? Amy? Do you know what you desire? Do you still not understand? No matter how many times you try to turn the hands of fate, you always arrive at the same result. No. Toroncos. If you still don't understand this, after having gone through it so many times already, then you'll just continue to struggle forever in this infinitely repeating time loop. Bad End 6. Endless Summer. And I'm not talking about the Cascada song. Okay, well... wait a minute. Oh! Yeah, so... we have a secret ending to unlock. However, though... I did write the secret ending, but I did not know how in the world we were going to actually make it so that the reader could unlock it. So I will take a momentary break as I try to figure this out. Okay, well, after kind of going through the game again, I figured out what had to be done. So when I was originally writing this part of the script, I had no idea how in the world I was going to fit this ending into the story, but I just knew that I couldn't leave it on those 6 endings, even though I think, me personally, I think out of all those endings, I think the 6th one is probably technically the better one, since at least Natsuki and Shiro in this case finally get to become a couple. They just have to deal with Amy / Toroncos kind of antagonizing them for the rest of the summer. But anyway, well, so here we are back where he's thinking about, like, should I go see Natsuki one more time? And then you say no, and he's there, okay, well, there's nothing much else I can do around here, so why the hell am I still carrying this knife around? So you are going to leave the knife behind, because this ending, well, you're gonna see why. There's no point in carrying, or wait, oops, blah. Well, never mind, this is just... I put it in the sink with the dirty dishes and make my way back to the door. Okay, so that's what happens when you do that. So, I'm just going to do this one more time. So we're not going to see Natsuki. You want to leave the knife. There. Or... Damn it. Ugh, no! You... Okay, you don't want to leave the knife. That's what I'm trying to say. Ugh. Dang it. I keep messing this up. Okay, yeah, so to get this ending... You do not want to see her again. Well, you're not going to go visit her one last time. And you are going to hold on to this. You're going to see why. There's nothing else I can do here. With the knife still in my hand, I leave the house, making sure to close the door behind me as quietly as possible. I've left the house. I committed the crime of breaking and entering, but on the plus side, you didn't do anything beyond that. I've technically stolen a knife as well. Oh, well. Okay. It was then that I finally realized it. Fate says Natsuki should die today, but it's fine if someone else dies in her place. This has to be done so the world can stay in balance, but with Natsuki's life being spared. It's just a simple exchange. A soul for a soul. If an irregularity to this world like me were to disappear, then this nightmare will end and Natsuki will be saved. Natsuki won't die. Her father and Amy wouldn't have to die either. I also wouldn't risk anyone else dear to me having to be taken as a sacrifice. I'll just fade away without Amy or Natsuki ever knowing. It's not like Natsuki really knew or cared about me much after all, right? The more I think about it though, the more I start to realize something. I don't know how many times I've been at this. I don't know if this is the first time I've gone through the repeating loop or the 100th time. But the fact that I've been so determined to save this young woman's life shows that maybe she does mean something to me after all. Reading her diary, it seemed that she did think about me somewhat, noticing my gloomy attitude. To be honest, I haven't felt the same since my parents got divorced, but no one really ever noticed. She was the first, or at least the only other person I know who's at least thought about it. I can't help but wonder if maybe that's why she continued to sit behind me in class. She could have sat somewhere else, but no. She chose your gloomy ass to be around. She would always sit behind me. I actually care about Natsuki. Maybe even love her. That's why I'm willing to do what I can just to make sure she lives to see another day. If what it takes for her to have a bright future ahead of her is for me to die, then so be it. Like I said, it's not as though she will miss me or even care if I'm gone. That doesn't matter though. After all this time, I finally realized why I put myself through this in the first place. I love Natsuki Sairenshi. I'd shout it from the rooftop if I wanted to. Ignoring the fact that I'm not supposed to be here and the fact that I'm 5 feet away from her house. I looked at the knife I was clutching in my hand. You and I were the same, Natsuki. Today will end for me, and tomorrow will come for you. You're free from this endless nightmare. You're free from the grasp of Toroncos and his chains. Nothing is ever going to restrain you or tie down your life anymore. Natsuki, you should live. You must live. These were the last words I thought as I plunged the knife through my neck, thus ending this nightmare and ending my life. True end. 7. Just a classmate. Shiro has passed away. The truth of the incident vanished into darkness. The teacher wouldn't tell me anything else. I don't really care. I could care less that the guy who sat in front of me died. He was just some random classmate I hardly ever spoke to. Even though he's gone now, it's not like we were very close. I don't feel anything whatsoever. Honestly, I'm not even sad about this. He was just some random guy who, coincidentally, sat in front of me in class every day. I don't even know why. Everything would be the same even without him being here. The same old, regular, quiet life I've been so used to. None of that is going to change. He's gone, but life goes on. My life will go on. Why, good morning, Nat. You're looking lovely today. And yet, you're looking kind of down in the dumps. Penny for your thoughts?
She looks so cute in her little blanket. Alright, well, that was that. And yep, that's all 7, and hey, look! Oh! I can click on her! Okay, and let's see. So we basically have a whole list now of all the endings here. Okay, well, so you can't click on those, but I guess this is pretty much, yeah, this is how you know that you've gone through 100% of the game. You get all 7 stars, all 7 endings, and this little chibi Amy / agent of Toroncos smiling at you adorably with her little beady eyes and her little blanket covering her and keeping her warm. And yeah, so you know, when he told me about this, and he told me that like it was a secret, and I was like, okay, sure, I guess I'll just wait and see for myself. And yeah, I definitely love this idea, like especially kind of with certain visual novels, not just the DDLC ones, but heck, I guess even like the Sharon ones, like Makoto Mobius, which this was inspired by. It's a good way to keep track of your progress. That way you know for sure what endings you have gotten, you know, just in case. So at the very least, that is a very nice touch, and I wouldn't mind if other mods were to kind of do a little something like this, but I mean, that's just me. Me and my whole thing about like, damn it, what endings have I gotten already? As I've mentioned before, I keep a notebook of all the mods I've played, starting with Blue Skies, just to make sure, like, okay, well, what endings have I gotten? What did I do to get to this point? And whatever. Versus here, it's like, oh, well, this is what you've gotten, and this is based on the answer choices you've made. Of course, well, I guess, in a weird way, since I wrote this, I kind of already know the choices you need to make, so I didn't really need my notebook for this, but, you know, for anyone else, it's a good
touch nonetheless. And it's just, yeah, it just feels satisfying seeing like, yep, I did that. I got all 7 endings. Okay, well, yeah, so I'm not quite sure how people are going to like receive this, especially given the reception of Tainted Love, which some people have told me in the past that they liked the writing, that they thought the writing was pretty good. The main complaint that I had with Tainted Love was just the fact that it didn't have a happy ending. You know, if you consider how Kotenoa and Monica die various ways in the 3 endings. And no matter what ending, the main character always dies. This one, I mean... well, obviously, like, this one is probably, like, one of the ones that... I literally had to kind of sit down. I even thought to myself, like, okay, well, what would be some ways to screw it up, you know? And Makoto Mobius even kind of did something like this too, where the main guy actually does charge into Makoto's room and just... which... as much as I hated that idea, I mean... you know, some of these are just kind of choices I thought, well... you know, like... given the situation he's in, what would he figure out to do? But, well, in a sense, this is probably the... well, I don't know how else to say it, but... so, in the end, Natsuki lives. And if it isn't... it's kind of heavily implied, but... this little one right here kind of tries to instigate Natsuki starting the loop all over again. I did have a backstory in mind about, like, how and why she kind of does this, but unfortunately it's not really explored much here, like, at all. Simply because I figured since this was a story about Natsuki and Shiro, as I called him here, that unfortunately I wasn't quite sure how to fit her story in there, but I don't know if maybe I'll make like a supplement somewhere, put it on DeviantArt as a bit of a like a writing prose story kind of thing, or what, but or I don't know. I might explore her more in future mods set in this anthology, but until then, yeah, I guess the only thing I will say is that Amy is kind of inspired by Sideways from Transformers Armada, of all things, but that just kind of popped into my head one day when I was just thinking, like, in a sense, who would be a good character to kind of... or, like, I need someone to kind of play the same role that the girl in Makoto Mobius did. And I figured, well, Sideways kind of plays the same role. Like, he's a puppet for Unicron, who's like the dark god of all Transformers, so... and then I thought, well, I technically made a dark god character in some of my old literature projects that I unfortunately abandoned sometime in 2019, in the form of the insane god of shadows Toroncos. So that's when I thought to myself, you know, and if we think about like what kind of relationship would Amy have with Natsuki, I kind of thought, okay, well, that kind of got the gears kind of turning there, and so Amy kind of became Sideways, kind of instigating this whole thing between Shiro and Natsuki as a way to kind of serve Toroncos, the same way Sideways was instigating the war between the Autobots and Decepticons for Unicron to feed off that kind of hatred. But like I said, unfortunately for this story, Toroncos is not really touched on that much. At least as much as I might have thought of, making him more front and center, especially just because, like, how would I handle that? And likewise, well, Amy's sort of quote-unquote backstory here for why the hell she's doing this in the first place. Although, I would say that Endless Summer kind of hints, Discharged from Duty and Endless Summer kind of hint they kind of hint at, like, maybe why she's doing this in the first place. But I'll just go ahead and leave it at that for now. So, I guess, thank you all for watching, and I will see you guys next time with whatever else I do. Stay golden, and later, folks.